Ryan,
real quick, I just restarted the
5?
recording. You can start. It started up again. I restarted the recording.
Me, man.
I know. I'm sorry.
Like total amateurs. All right. Today we are with Ryan Stewman. Ryan Stewman is a serial entrepreneur. Like I said, it could take 45 minutes just listing everything he's done. There's probably a bunch of shit I don't know he's done, but to date, what I know is you've recorded like something like 1,300 of your own podcasts, somewhere around there, right? Or more?
Way more, I think. I think I'm at like 3,500 or something like that. It's crazy to even think that.
I mean, what I've seen on your YouTube channel, like somewhere around 2,000 YouTube videos.
Something like that, yep.
How many books? 4 or 5 books?
I think I'm on number 14. So, but hey, all of those still sound amazing, like
14 books, millions of social media fans.
Totally does his research, y'all. I'm just saying.
Well, listen, this is how much research I did before I joined Apex. I want to lead this in with a little funny story, man. So I honestly did not know who you were when I joined Apex. Like one of my friends who was in sales sent me M3 with social media shit. I read through it. I was like, that's cool, whatever. And then happenstance, I was in sales talk, sales pros, whatever it was. And then one of your guys DM'd me. They were like, oh, business network event. Come to Dallas, you meet, other entrepreneurs that are at your level. You come there 4 times a year. You learn actionable shit. I've done networking and conferences in my own vertical. So I was like, fuck it. I can't remember what it was, 10 grand or something like that for the year. And I was like, yeah, it sounds cool. I looked you up. I was like, yeah, all right. This guy seems like he's my cup of tea. I'll show up. And I come in, and then one of your guys, Danny, was like, oh, do you want to do a tour of the office? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I mean, there's a handful of us walking through, and motherfuckers were like taking pictures inside of your, like there was maybe like a cardboard cutout of you. They had their arm around you in the cardboard cutout. They're like, hey, do you want to take a picture in his office? And I'm like, no, man, I got my own office. I don't need a picture. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I realized, like, this guy's pretty fucking famous. You came out to like the rap music, man. Everybody was fucking like passing out and shit, losing their mind. Like, seeing the fucking Beatles. I was like, I have no idea what world I just stepped into, but I like it. Like, I like it. I looked around, like, all these motherfuckers in here are paying 10 grand, and this motherfucker is just going up there, riling them up. I'm like, I need to learn what he's doing and do this. And I was like, holy shit, this is really hard. You got to have 2,000 YouTube videos and 3,000 podcasts. Like, man, this motherfucker didn't build this shit overnight. And that was my introduction to you in real life. So welcome, man. Welcome to the show, and congratulations on all your success, man. How's it going?
Man, it's going good. I'm here in Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico. I just got off a stage speaking next to some pretty cool people like Bradley and Andy Elliott and Jay Caveron and Emily Ford, and just barely made it back here in time for the podcast. Actually, I had to, I think they might still be running the CEO panel in there. I was like, dude, look, I promised these guys I'd get on this podcast with them. So I got to roll and made it in here just in time to be about 3 minutes late for y'all's podcast,
Yeah, you're like, yo, I'm talking to potentially tens of hundreds of people on this show, man. This is not something I can miss. But yeah, I mean, to that point, I mean, God, you had like David Goggins on, and you were dialed in with David Goggins before like Goggins was David Goggins.
Well, I think he's always been Goggins, but I knew him before the world knew him. I knew him before he had Instagram, or I have known him since before he had Instagram. I said knew like he's passed away or something, but yeah, I've known David for since 2017. So,
and then you've been on countless stages with all sorts of kind of like big names in the entrepreneurial business space.
Yeah, we were talking today, and a guy named Nick asked me, he goes, there was a guy that hadn't met me, and I love like new people that don't know who I am, because I don't think I'm anybody special by any means. And so, to me, it doesn't seem like coming out to rap. I didn't even know I had a cardboard cutout, but knowing Danny, he probably made something like that. But, to me, I'm just a dude that really cares about people, but I think there's not a lot of folks that really care about people. So I get a lot of love and good feedback from actually just being me and actually giving a shit about people, but there was a guy today and he's like, you're going to get on stage in a minute. And he's like, oh, hey, who are you? And I was like, I'm Ryan. And the guy goes, the one of the two, somehow the conversation, the guy's like, yeah, man, he's been on a couple of stages before. And he was kind of being facetious, just being kind of a smart ass. And then when the guy walked away, Nick asked me, he's like, how many stages do you think you've been on? And I'm like, pretty much all of them, man. I don't, there's very few people that I haven't spoken alongside on stage. I've probably done at least 150 events of my own, and had, like you said, guys like David Goggins speak at my events and stuff like that. And, I look back and when you're saying that intro and it's almost every podcast that I get on, I'm like, damn, I can't believe I did all that shit. Like, what am I, So you're right. I didn't build it overnight, but I'm like, damn, it feels like that's a lie. It just feels like, you 14 books, hundreds of speaking gigs, literally hundreds of speaking gigs, maybe even 1,000 at this point. And, 3,500 or so podcasts. I'm like, dude, that just seems like such a lie, but I guess I did it, so it's just crazy to think, but it's not like I just started this shit yesterday either. I invented the social media marketing game. I created this whole industry, been doing it since 2008 and started doing it full time in 2010. And now you go through Facebook or Instagram and everybody's got a Lamborghini and a jet and they're telling you how awesome they are and how they'd be a good marketer and shit, and I've been doing this since nobody else was doing it. Cardone wasn't doing it, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins. Matter of fact, several of those guys told me that I was crazy and this was a terrible idea. And now look at us all, So, and never been the biggest name out there. I haven't had my shining moment yet, but I also do all my business organically and being shadow banned at the same damn time for my beliefs just in life. I got a flag the other day from Facebook on a post about God, just giving God glory for my life. And Instagram sent me a warning and said, for the next 30 days, your posts are going to be lower in the news feed. I'm like, really? Okay, Satan. I don't even know a response. You know what I mean? But these are the things that I've fought over the years. And one day when I do have that moment where maybe millions of people get inspired by me or whatever, it'll feel that much better because of all the shit that I've had to overcome through the years battling with this stuff. And really the battle didn't start until about 2015 or 2016. Prior to that, it was wide open. But once they started, I just blame Trump. Once Trump showed up on the scene, man, they started throttling some of us with different beliefs pretty hard. It's been an uphill battle since then, to be honest with you. I had a post get seen by 10 million people last month on Facebook. And out of 10 million people that saw it, it was like 9 million people engaged with it, and it resulted in like 300 followers. I'm like, that can't be right. You know what I mean? Like, it just the deal that I fight over there's pretty nuts. But one day I'll have a 10 million post and it'll be it won't be as censored and stuff as much, and things will go right. Until then, I'm gonna keep working.
You mentioned that so I want to dig into a little bit into Apex and the marketing and the messaging. Like I feel like I've seen over the last couple of years. So you made a comment about like, these guys with like Lambos and shit like that. And in the beginning, it seems like that was kind of your move too. You had like, and obviously you like fucking nice cars. I don't, you know what I mean? Obviously it's attention grabbing, but you like nice cars. But I've seen a shift, it seems like, in the last like year or so of your branding going more toward like heavy equipment, like being on your ranch. I mean, you've always been about your family and shit like that, and it's always been a part of your marketing. But obviously that's a piece of marketing for Apex and for your networking. Like, what was the thought process? Even like the people I see like that you co-sign that are part of your network and the message that they have, you've really turned toward this like more like services, more like hands in the dirt kind of. I mean, walk me through that was that intentional? Obviously it was intentional, but.
Well, I became I'll tell you the whole story. I became a millionaire in like 2005. So I've been at the money making game for a long time. I'm 45 years old, and I became a millionaire in 2005. And then 2010, I went full time into my own business. And again, I created a lane that nobody was in. Nobody else was teaching people how to do Facebook marketing in 2010 full time. It just didn't exist. And so about 2012, it started catching on a little bit. 2014, it kind of became mainstream. And I'd always had a small mastermind, small group of people that we coached and worked with. In about 2014, 2015, I was the guy with the penthouse, and then all of a sudden I look up and everybody's got a mastermind in a penthouse, and I'm like, well, fuck, I'm literally, I don't say this from like I'm awesome. I'm just like literally one of the most copied guys on the internet, and a lot of people are bigger followings than me that follow me. And so they'll go run with it and make it look like it's their idea, which is cool. I'm all about sharing, but there's not too many, if any, big names that haven't copied what I've done and maybe just had a bigger audience and ran with it or whatever. And so I say this because, I look up in 2015 and, every kid out there's every guy's got a mastermind and a penthouse. And the thing is, people think it's easy to coach or easy to run a mastermind. They're like, oh, my job putting on roofs or being a realtor or being a mortgage guy, it's difficult. It looks easy just to talk to people. It's like, first of all, you have to have some success or nobody's going to want to talk to you. I was already successful when I started doing that. I didn't do that to become successful. The second thing is, when you are dealing and coaching with people, if they don't get results, they quit and they charge you back and stuff like that. So that comes very difficult. And, like you said, 10 grand, people aren't just shelling out 10 grand because they think you're cool on social media either. So it's, it's different. And so a lot of people started piling into that business. And, here I am, 2017, I'm like, okay, everybody's got a penthouse now. What's the next level? Oh, okay, I'll go get some exotic cars. And, I've wanted them my whole life, and I'll drive them and sell them and all of this stuff and use them in my marketing and write them off on my taxes. I could use the write-off and shit. So I started doing that. And then you look up in 2020 and, everybody's got a Lamborghini and everybody's got a Ferrari and all this. And I'm like, okay, cool. So now every ad's got Ferraris and Lamborghinis. All right, fine. Then, I started flying private in 2017, but haven't been to an airport, like a commercial airport, since 2020. I look up last year, everybody's got private jets now all of a sudden. And so I tell you this story, not to be like, I'm so awesome. It's that I'm always a couple of steps ahead of these freaking copycat clowns. Right. And so there's a couple of things you can hack a Lamborghini. You can go and Toro it out in your spare time, or charter or rent one or lease one or finance it for 10 years. And so, once these average cats that aren't that successful with a mastermind and they're failing real-time business, they go, oh, well, I'll just go finance a Lamborghini for 10 years and make a $1,500 a month payment and act like I'm rich, and when it comes to certain things you can't hack, you can put 10 or 15 of your friends together and go charter a jet and you're paying $5,000 each. And I've done that too. I started that trend where me and my buddies would all throw in and charter jets everywhere we go. It started that trend too. And I look up and I'm like, I don't want to go buy a jet because I don't use them enough for me to spend the money on it. But what's something that most people just can't hack and can't afford? I'm like, dude, and it's been a lifelong dream of mine anyway. So I go buy originally it was 400 acres of ranch land with 200 head of cattle on it and fully operating. I went and bought some tractors and skid steers and equipment and built roads out there. I mean, I have $500,000 in roads alone on the property. And so when you go buy land, you got to put at least 40% down. And so if you go buy millions of dollars worth of land like I have, and you put 40% down, these guys ain't going to be able to hack no 10-year note on a Lamborghini for the land. And so but really I've always wanted that my whole life anyway. And I checked off the list, spoke on the stages, chartered the jets, drove the Lamborghinis. What's next on my list? Having freedom and self-sustainable food operation for my family in case we go to World War III or whatever the hell may happen in this world, right? I got a place where I can take care of my family and, you know, at the end of the world, nobody's going to give a shit if you drive a Lamborghini. You better be driving a tank, you know, and or at least a pickup truck where you can ram people out of your way when their Tesla's electrical battery goes out and they're, clogging up the road and shit. And so, you know, I just started looking. It's like, what are some, what's that next level? And I'm already seeing people buy land and now they're driving tractors. I already see that trend coming and people are starting to do that as well. I noticed Ty Lopez is now, got a ranch that he's letting the Amish run and shit like that. And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm always on the forefront of this stuff. But then I realized, because I grew up on a horse farm, but I realized is like, I'm making memories with my kids out at this place. I'm teaching my young boys how to be men. I've got a 7, 12, and 13-year-old son that can drive and operate skid steers, tractors. They know how to bale hay. They know how to shake pecan trees. They know how to run rakes. They know how to run zero-turn lawnmowers. They know how to catch a cow. They know how to, I have a horse now, but she's 30 years old, but I just got another horse that is about 18. So they'll learn how to ride a horse and saddle a horse and things that are important to me that I learned growing up. And those are things that they're not as appealing. If every person is in the news feed and they're like, look at my Lambo and my jet, you too can become a millionaire, versus me, I'm like, I'm minding my own damn business on the ranch in a tractor. It's not as sexy because people drive by cows sitting over there, and beef is up 400% over the last 3 years, by the way. Thanks a lot, Biden. But people drive by cows and fences and land all the time, and they're like, oh, some poor farmer does that. Just like they see a roofing company and they're like, oh, some poor construction guy is like, no, those are millionaires. Those are millionaires. That dude's sitting on millions of dollars worth of land. The roofer's $1 million operation. Those guys are making big money. They just don't flash it the same way as other people. You see tractors all the time parked on a field or on the side of the road, and people just think, oh, it's some rundown tractor. No, it's a $500,000 piece of equipment that they've got sitting there, And
let me ask you a question real quick. I hate to, but have you seen then, like, because of your messaging, have you noticed like a different in your clientele that are filling up the rooms at Apex now? It's not, and I'll 100% transparency. Like, part of me, I was like, man, I want to have a course, man. I mean, I'm out here renting boats. I'm out here working till 1 a.m. trying, when I was first getting started, to get this ski back up, because that ski is like, it's not the fact that the ski's down. It means that's a whole day of rentals that I can't get that ski or that boat. So I'd be in there till 2 o'clock in the morning wrenching on that motherfucker until it was back up and running. And so, like, when I looked at the other side of the coin, and again, full transparency, that here in my garage shit with Ty Lopez, immediately I'm like, this seems so scammy to me. You know what I mean? Like, can I really become a millionaire online? But that's how I ended up in Apex. So I was like, man, I want to sell I don't want to be out here until 2 o'clock in the morning wrenching on a jet ski, trying to rent that motherfucker for $100 an hour. So I just say that because I would imagine now that you're seeing more more home services, more roofers, more ranchers, more guys that need this equipment filling up the room at Apex, versus guys that are like, how can I make money online, and how can I, get a Lambo and shit like that?
It's a mixture, and, it's still about making money online. It's just that, when you go through certain phases in life, like I was saying earlier, I've spoke on the stage next to everybody I've wanted to. I've smoked weed with every rapper that I've wanted to. I've met every celebrity that I've ever wanted to. And again, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just like, man, I got really fortunate and worked hard and checked all this shit off my bucket list and was like, well, fuck, now what do I do? Because we're driven people. We got to have something to drive us. If we like, oh, I did everything, now I get to be a fucking loser and sit in my underwear all day or whatever. I never want to be that guy, right? So, like, what else can I build? What else can I show is possible? And so in my mind, it's, I've shown people it's possible to be adopted, drop out of school, get addicted to drugs, go to prison, and then still have Lamborghinis and jets and a ranch and tractors and a good wife and a good family and amazing kids. And so I really think of it as I'm just showing people what's possible, but there's nothing wrong with creating a course. And I think you did pretty good. I think you created a course and did pretty good with that, didn't you? There's absolutely
I did actually. It's a little little different kind of course, and more, unfortunately, the government got involved. But I did get a course up, and it's been That's awesome. It's a great
And
thing ever.
it makes for good side income. It can even be full-time income. But you already had success at what you were doing. You already were renting jet skis and all this other stuff. So it makes sense for you to maybe share what your experience is. A lot of guys go read a book and then make a course about a book they read that's somebody else's material. But you know, there's nothing wrong. We always need to be investing in ourselves and buying stuff and things like that. But, you know, back to answer your main question. Yeah, I mean, it has changed. Now we've got, you know, instead of it just being flashy guys that are like, oh, I want to be like Ryan with the cars and the jets and the Rolexes. Instead, they're like, I want to be like Ryan and be a good dad or a good mom or a good parent and a good husband, a good wife, a leader, a business person, a compassionate human. You know, like that's what matters to me, man, because I watched a lot of guys over the years come into my program and learn the amazing stuff we teach and then go make a whole bunch of money and then make terrible decisions, you know, like they think they're better than their wife, or they think that now they can cheat on their wife, or they think now's a good time to get a drug addiction, which always baffled me because I was like, do you not watch movies or TV shows? Nobody's ever winning and gets on drugs and continues to win. That never fucking happens ever. Why do you think you're going to be the exception to the rule, you idiot? But I watched that happen and I'm like, man, how can I stop that? You know, like I did drugs in my 20s. You know what I mean? But I'm in my 40s now, and I did drugs in my teens and 20s. I'm in my 40s now, so that's not – I learned those lessons a long time ago. I know where they lead. And, you know, now I realize a lot of the people, a vast majority of the people that we've got in the program just want to be good humans. They want to make money so that they can be a better human. Because, listen, the only thing that's free on this planet's air. Everything else costs money. And it takes money to survive on this planet. So you need, you know, some people say God is first. And I'm like, look, air is first. It's free. I love God, but he's not on this planet. Air is first because it's free. Everything else costs money. And even if you go to church, God wants 10% of your money too, right? If you listen to any preacher. So everything costs money. And some people, and really what my goal is to help people make money and then become better because of it. And I hated over the years the guys that were addicted to the flash and all this other stuff that would go make more money and then not be better because of it. In some cases, be worse because of it. And I'm like, man, that is not God's plan for my life. That's not my plan for their life. You know, how do I fix that? So I started showcasing, hey, I'm a hard worker. You can't hack that shit. Hey, I'm a good dad. You can't hack that shit. Hey, I'm a good husband. You can't hack that shit. And it really has brought in a crowd of people that they don't want to be famous on the internet. They want to be a market leader, an industry leader in their professional life. And then they want to be the leader of their household in their personal life.
So I got another follow-up because I see this happen with your business. It's got to be something incredibly difficult to combat. So it's like somebody rents a boat from me, right? And they go out and get in a fucking accident. After they get in that accident, they don't tell FWC or LE law enforcement or whatever. They did something stupid. They don't say, hey, I'm a captain at Destiny Water Adventures. It seems like that's been sometimes that could be a struggle where they're like, they have this business and then they're like Apex and then they're attached to your brand and then they go crash the boat and then they're like, I'm with Apex. Like how do you deal with that, man? Like that's just being a huge struggle because they're not an employee of yours. They're not fucking, all they are is just a member of your network, but then they're like they're telling people they're co-signed by you. Like, how do you combat that?
Man, it's difficult. You know, I haven't had to deal with this in 2 years, but the prior 4 years, I had a ton of people that were, you know, they're part of our program and they'd go out and they'd offer Amazon stores or digital real estate or, you know, some investment deal, and they just stole money. And I thought they were good people. They stole my money too. And I thought they were good people. And then people in the group were like, yo, Stewman, this guy, I thought he was one of us. And I'm like, fuck, me too. How do I avoid that? You know what I mean? Like, he stole from me too. And like, you know, and it was a lot. One time somebody's like, you got to be the stupidest investor. And I was like, well, maybe I am because I believe people. I have no reason to lie to people. So I assume that somebody that wants to be the best version of themselves thinks the same way. And that's not always the case because a snake's going to be a snake, whether the snake can pretend it's camouflage and pretend it's a tree, but it's still going to bite you. You know what I mean? And it has been difficult. So we had to put some rules in place. You know, you can't actively market your stuff to other members. You can't raise money. You can't, you know, people are going to make their own decisions anyway. And, especially for me, I've had 83,000 people buy from me over the years.
Wow.
And they're all like, oh, yeah, I'm a part of Stewman's course, or I'm a part of Apex or whatever. And there's always going to be a few bad apples everywhere. But it is fucking difficult, man. And, I honestly don't know how to control it other than, make sure you read contracts, make sure that you do business with someone who's vetted, make sure you only get a referral from somebody they've done business with. Because, you're right. People slide in somebody's DMs and go, yeah, man, I'm a part of Apex, dude. You should invest in my stuff. I hang with Ryan, and I never fucking met him. You know what I mean? Like, they just paid some money to be a part of we don't run per se a mastermind. We have a business association, which is like a place where you become a member with benefits. But that's like somebody wrecking their car and being like, yeah, I'm a member of AAA. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. The tow truck may hook you up, but you don't wreck the car and go to the dealership and then go, hey, I'm a member of AAA. You should give me a free car. And it's kind of, that's changed a little bit too, but it is difficult, man, because, I believe the best in everybody. And if I'm just being honest with everybody here, I've had my heart broken and been let down by humans more time than most people would do in 10 lifetimes because the amount of people I deal with. And, my story of me being an ex-con and adopted and stuff, it resonates with damaged people. And damaged people oftentimes say they want to be better, but then when opportunity presents itself, a lot of times their actions won't reflect what their words are. You know what I mean? Like, I can say I'm a reformed drug addict and I'm drug free for 20 something years now, and I mean it. Somebody that may only be drug free for 6 months, they're prone to relapse. Like, you could put cocaine or meth in front of me right now and I could give two shits about it, right? I'm gonna tell you, get the fuck out of my hotel room. But if I was only 6 months off of it, it might be like, well, nobody knows. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Nobody's paying attention. Maybe I could do it this one time and keep it a secret. So, it's definitely been a struggle, man. And in a lot of cases, it hurts my reputation, and it sucks. I don't know if those people that do that meant to hurt my reputation or not. But here's what I also know. I love the story of, there's a guy in Hollywood who Hollywood wanted him to do certain things that he didn't agree with, and he got rid of. He walked out of his $10 million a year job as an actor and left the set. Told them all to kiss his ass. Left them hanging mid set. They started using the media. In our case, it would be social media against me, but they started using the media to say this guy was crazy and he was a crackhead, and all these like negative things to try to protect themselves from what he didn't want to do with him in case he got loud. And it took this guy 10 years of being like a nobody and everybody thinking he was a piece of shit before one day Netflix calls this guy and says, hey, we want to do a show with you, and we're going to give you $50 million to do this show. And he's like, holy shit, man, everybody's hated me for 10 years. And he goes and he does this show, and then he becomes the greatest comedian of all time. That guy's name's Dave Chappelle. And we all know who he is, and I feel like I'm going through kind of the 10 years. I got into the influencer crowd, and a lot of these guys were stealing and faking and doing drugs and cheating on their spouses and acting like they had their shit together. And they bring me in and they're like, oh, Stewman's probably one of us. He's like, he used to be a degenerate, once a degenerate, always a degenerate. And man, I found God. My life's different. I found love, my wife, love with God, love of being a parent. My life's drastically different than it was 25 years ago. And, I left those guys, and I don't talk publicly about people, but I might use examples like I'm using, but I'm not dropping names here. But those people have no problem dropping my name, you know what I mean? And trying to make it seem like I'm crazy so that, their story about me being an asshole is a lot bigger than maybe my story about seeing them do blow and sleep with each other's wives and shit like that. Which again, I don't name names and talk publicly, but I'm really going through that phase. But Dave's story really inspires me to keep going despite people that may have used my name to get ahead or may have abused my network or may have stolen from me or whatever. It's like, I'm just do what I do best and keep working and keep being me. And eventually everything in the dark comes to light. And it may take 10 years like it did for Chappelle, but eventually somebody's going to go, Stewman, at this point in 2024, maybe somebody approaches me and they're like, Stewman's got 14 years of never selling out, never changing his values, never fucking ripping anybody off, always doing the right, honest thing. Maybe it's time we give him a shot instead of believing all these guys with these, fancy fake lives that don't even really exist.
So we got deep into the weeds because I saw some changes, and I just personally wanted to have this conversation with you. But for those who are unaware, because I know you got time, you got a time crunch. I know I'm sure you got your time blocks all set up. So I know give us a 50,000 view of what Apex Business Network is. And then I want to talk about Closer Capital too. So for those who don't know, what you and I seem to know, or Greg doesn't know, what is Apex Business Network?
Yeah. So our business association is very simple. It's like I said, like AAA. When you join Apex, you get discounts on services that you already pay for. So you get merchant processing discounts. You can get cheaper insurance. You can get, we can finance your clients. We have lending programs that if you sell boats to people, we can do boat financing. If you sell HVAC to people, we can finance your clients so you can make more money. And we offer a ton of services, tax preparation, things like that, right? And it's because I'm a guy that's got a guy. I got a guy for everything, And so being a part of this association allows you to get in there and have a bigger return on investment than the investment you're making to be in there. So the other side of it is we have a skill acquisition program that's a part of it as well. So you get to learn sales, marketing, hiring, firing, leadership, brand building, tax minimization, financial management. So you get to learn all the skills that you need to be a strong entrepreneur and business owner. And it's based on basically two beliefs, that there's 4 levels of business and 8 skills that you need to ascend through those levels. At level 1, you're an employee, you need sales and marketing. Level 2, you're self-employed, you need to learn to hire and train people. Level 3, you're a CEO, you need to learn brand building and leadership. Level 4, you own the company and you don't work in the company. At that point, you need to manage your finances and minimize your tax exposure. And so the idea is to know what level you're on and what skills you need to acquire in order to truly level up. And if you'll acquire those skills and master them, you'll make more money. The second belief is that there's only 3 ways for a business owner to make more money. Increase revenue, which comes from skills, decrease overhead, which is the benefits that we offer as the association. And I could go on a whole list of things that we offer in there to help people decrease their overhead and then minimize their taxes. So if you can increase revenue while decreasing overhead and minimizing taxes, that means more money in your pocket as a business owner. And so I have a gift of really simplifying all this stuff. And I've created an association that allows people to network, meet great people, get discount services, save money, make more money, pay less money to the IRS, level up in their life, all in one place, and it's not been easy, dude. It's taken me 14 years to get to this level, but a guy can come in that's running a $500,000 business, pay $10,000, and we save him more than $10,000 just in the services that he's already using, labor, all this stuff, then learn skills to take that company from $500,000 to $1 million, and then, keep growing and scaling from there and everything else. So really that's what I built. And then Closer Capital is my lending company, and we loan business owners money. So you need money to scale your business up, marketing, payroll, buy new inventory, whatever the case may be. And then we also finance clients. So, no matter what it is you sell, we've got the ability to finance your clients. So let's say right now you go and you install an HVAC unit in somebody's house for $7,500 and they're like, dude, I need an AC. It's hot as hell, but my credit cards are maxed out because the economy's bad and I don't have $7,500 cash. What can I do? Typically somebody's like, nothing, dude, you're out of luck, and they get to lose that deal. Well, we can finance them with some alternative financing, pay you, the provider, upfront that $7,500, and they can pay us over the course of 2 to 5 years, and it makes it affordable for them. And so, I just wanted to be able to help people get access to money when banks say no, and when clients can't afford it, and then also, really help business owners. But it all ties in together to really benefit business owners and give them access to all the things that they need, which they're probably 99% of business owners are overpaying for shit. 99% of business owners are using a friend or a family member for something and thinking they're getting a good deal and getting ripped off. And then we also know what skills you need in order to truly level up in life.
So is Closer Capital like you don't have to be a member of Apex to apply for Closer Capital, or is that for?
No, you don't have to be a member.
And is that collateralized or is that unsecured?
Unsecured.
Wow.
And how long have you been running that now?
If we finance your clients and they buy an HVAC unit, for example, we may come take that HVAC unit if they don't pay for it for a year or something like that. But I've never had to do that, so I would assume that's what our banks would do. But maybe not. Just like if you don't pay your car payment or house payment, they come and repo that thing. But we also do it for coaches and course creators and stuff. So there's nothing to repo there. It's just it's based on several different factors. It's based on the quality of the actual business operator. If you got a 500 one-star reviews, we're not going to finance your clients because they're likely going to get pissed off and not make payments, right? So we look at things that make sense. Hey, this guy's been in business a long time. Maybe his clients got bad credit, but they tend to pay their bills on time for the last 5 years, 2 years. Their credit cards are maxed out, so their scores are a little low, but they still have the ability to pay. So we just kind of use make sense lending. But it is non-recourse, especially if we loan to a business. Which does come with a little bit higher interest rate. A lot of people, I had a guy the other day goes, "Can you finance my clients at 0%?" And I'm like, "Bro, you want to make money, but not me? You think I'm just giving out money for free? I'm not like, you're not a family member, bro. I'm not loaning your clients family money or some shit like that." I'm like, dude, rates go anywhere from, right now, if you were to take a loan out, you're looking anywhere from 18 to 50%. The better your credit, the faster you can pay it back, the lower the interest rate. The worse your credit, the slower you need, and the more time you need to pay it back, the higher the interest rate. That's just how anything is. But a lot of people right now, they're like, oh, well, cars and houses are going for 6-7%. Yeah, that's a collateralized thing that people can take from you. You know what I mean? If I give you $50,000 to go buy inventory and for your whatever business, like, I'm not going to come and confiscate that inventory. It's not going to do me any good. I'm not in the inventory selling business. If I loan you $50,000 to go buy a bunch of tools for your watercraft and I don't work on watercraft and I don't need those tools, there's nothing for me to repossess. So it's obviously going to come with a little bit higher interest rate.
Is it mostly short term? Like 6 months to 2 years?
6 months to 2 years. Yep.
Yeah, that's the perfect amount.
Yeah. You get your best rate if you can pay it back in 90 days,
Yeah, I like that. Because people, they get into the beginning of winter and they don't have the capital to purchase skis and boats for their 2020, the next season. But now, this is a great opportunity that they can get the equipment. I mean, I've done hard money loans personally, very successfully for our industry because they needed to buy a couple boats. I know their business. I don't run a credit score. I just look at their past history, reviews, things like that. But it was successful because I know the business. I know what they're going to do. We're seasonal. They're going to generate the revenue. And it's good. And I think we need more services like yours for our industry.
Yeah, because we have a lot of people in our space too that have, they have 6 boats or they have 8 boats and they've gone. Because in this market, it's extremely seasonal. So everybody, you make 60-70% of your revenue inside of 4 months. And then you have the cash at the end of August, but then you pay your employees, you pay your rent, you pay your insurance. You just watch the coffers go down for 6-7 months. And then you want to go and pick up 3-4 more boats because the calls are there. The demand is there, but you don't have either a good relationship or a good bank relationship. You're going through Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo will give you $35,000 or something like that on an equipment loan, and you're like, well, that's great, but I need about $150,000. So,
yeah. Or they just tell you no, period. They just banks love the word no. So
yeah. Especially in this environment, man. It's definitely super challenging right now in this environment. So what's next, man? I mean, God, every time I turn around, I see you got you're doing tax service. It seems to me like I feel like, man, you looked at some of these bad apples that were in and maybe that were doing business in a bad way, inside, outside of Apex, whatever it may be, and you're just like, why am I not doing this? These people are co-signing me, doing the wrong shit. I might as well just do the shit myself and handle it the right way. And now it's like two birds, one stone. Now, instead of referring to somebody where you're like, yeah, I mean, they're a member, but I haven't personally used them. Now you're kind of enveloping those things into the network and just offering them yourself, knowing that you're going to do it the right way.
Yeah, that's it, man. Nobody cares like I do, so I might as well do it, and there's some, and that's the other thing is some people even in Apex might be like, well, now you're my competition. It's like, listen, you're technically not supposed to join Apex with the expectation to sell your shit to other members. That's not the point. The point is to grow your business in your marketplace. Apex is a very limited pool of people. There's billions of people in the world, millions of people in every marketplace. Like, get good at I built this for this network out of 14 years of blood, sweat, and tears. And I watch people come in and offer all this stuff and make money in the group. And they, good for them. But at the same time, a lot of them haven't done what they're supposed to. And then it always falls back on me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go and partner up with the right people and then make sure that I take care of it so that I'm ultimately responsible for it. And so that I know that it gets done right,
Mm-hmm.
Man, so now you got to add 15 books, 3,000 podcasts, 20,000 stage experiences, tax for free. Like, I love it, man. I love it, man. I get a hard time because I do boats and jet skis. You mentioned the churro thing. I got a car rental business. I do bounce house deliveries, everything. Because I can't. Sitting behind a computer to me is like, I'm really bad about it, man. I gotta stay moving. Like, and a lot of these things they run on auto people. What, when I hear some of the shit and I see what you do, and I'm like, man, I got a kindred spirit in this guy, but my Lord, he does it at just an entirely different level, man. I'm like out there nailing in a fucking thing on a bounce house because I want to be outside. I'm like, maybe I should just make some more fucking YouTube videos, man.
Well, but, I do all that stuff too, man.
I know you do.
And I have to do the manual labor too. I still do sales calls and I still am out there running the cattle and running the ranch myself. And, I do a lot of the maintenance on the building that I own that our offices are in. So, that really never goes away. I think that's the biggest falsity about guys in my position is they look at guys like maybe Cardone, Tony Robbins, and me, and they're like, all they do is make YouTube videos and talk. It's like, it's a lot more. That's the cool thing we show to the world because nobody's going to want to watch me, like you said, go drive a steak into a bounce house for somebody. Nobody's going to want to watch that. So why the hell would I put it on YouTube? You know what I mean? So
yeah, man.
We try to put what appeals to people on YouTube.
Yeah, man. Well, I got nothing respect that we had actually a president of arguably the largest water sport company. Probably in the country. They do somewhere around 30 million annual revenue. And it was, especially in this environment, he said something that I definitely felt and he articulated. He's like, right now we're just getting back to basics. And then I saw your podcast, I saw your post, like literally, I think a week after we did that podcast, and you're like, normally I do this for this, I do this for this, I do this for this. Right now I'm getting out there I'll go out there and do podcasts. I'm like, this motherfucker's getting back to basics. Like everybody right now that has done well, that is, doing millions of dollars are like Greg right now. Greg's getting, Greg's no slouch either. Greg's had a couple of big companies himself and he's back on the phone making the sales himself. I just got back.
Kevin, is my sales game? Am my sales game good now? Is it better?
As long as you keep on getting me the affiliates, I love your.
Okay, all right, good. That's what I want to hear.
I'm so proud of you, man. Like, yeah, and bring me along. But I just got off the road from literally going out and door knocking, and I just think with the economy, I think everybody is kind of a little concerned where our debt is at and where all these things are happening, and it's like, yo, back to basics, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go drive the stake into the ground if that's what needs to be done. I'm gonna go make the code call if that's what needs to be done.
Get into the DMs.
Yeah, man.
That's the one thing that's been working for me is just sending a message on Facebook, not from my business accounts, but from my personal account. That has converted more demos than any other thing that I've done in the past 5 years. Just getting their DMs. Wow.
I've been teaching that for forever, and been trying to convince people that works. So I'm glad to hear that works for you, man, because it does, and the truth is for 2 years, I won't say too big for my britches, but I thought, okay, maybe it's time for me to go to that last level of being owner and not operator. And so I brought in an operator 7-8 months later, found out this guy doesn't have it. Brought in another operator 7-8 months later. I think it was 15 months. Like, she doesn't have it either. Then I brought in another operator 8 months, 9 months into him. Like, damn it, nobody can do this as good as me. And I guess I can't go to that next level yet. And so during that time, I bring in those operators. I try to remove myself from speaking as much, try to remove myself from doing podcasts and sales calls. Then I realized, like, that those are revenue drivers for me. Sales calls, podcasting, speaking. Those are the things that I do that built my business. And here I am trying to put somebody else in that position in my network, not the world, but my network. They don't give a shit about who I put in that position. They give a shit about me. And so I find out that they felt like maybe you felt this way too, Kevin, is like, well, I signed up because I thought Ryan was cool, but he stuck me with Mr. Jones over here. And that guy's not Ryan. I'm here for Ryan. And I see myself as just like this normal dude. But like you said in the beginning of the show, people were like passing out and stuff, which is an exaggeration, but I get what you were saying. And so I'm thinking they probably don't care about me being involved that much. So let me give somebody else the opportunity, and so on and so forth. And now I realize about, 2-3 months ago, it's like, dude, I need to, bite the pillow, go run the operation, quit trying to replace myself, get out there, put myself out there again, go be the face of this thing, and just own that that's my lot in life. And the good news is, bro, I enjoy it. So,
Hey,
I enjoy doing it.
Twisted. I signed up for Zach, actually, and that motherfucker was just in town and bought me dinner, man. I love that kid, man. He came to town and he called me up and he was like, "Hey, let's go to dinner, man." And we brought another guy and he started doing the whole business, and I'm like, I'm just here to cut it up, gentlemen. I don't, that was like the last piece, man. Like, I gotta imagine. It's got to be very difficult for you, man. I see you at events, you know what I mean? When I come to entrepreneurs, you do your thing, you stop, take pictures, but it's like, man, I saw you were head down. It's got to be very tough, man, like to just have literally thousands of people like save me or help me or fucking I need you like fucking person. Like I felt that because when I'm on my own docs and I got some shit that nobody else sees that's going on in the background. My employees that have been with me 5-6 years know Kevin that's got his head down and he's walking like he's fucking walking through a fucking war, because I am. I'm walking through the war of the shit that you don't see and that you don't know. And I saw you fucking walking through that building a couple times. You had your head down. It wasn't like leave me alone, but it was just like, man, I'm fucking working and I'm working on about 20 other things at once through my fucking head. And you still stop and make your time to talk to people and have those conversations because you realize that. And fucking, I respect you, bro. And I realize that's like, I see a guy that's like all the time still fucking learning. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't have all of the fucking answers. I've got a handful of really good ones, but I don't fucking have them all, man. Like, and you translate that very well. Like, hey man, I'm just like y'all, man. I'm a business owner. I'm running shit. I'm only 45. I'm still fucking learning to this shit. And I respect that. You know,
being on stage today, most people on stage, they're like, oh, let me have the mic so I can be the cool guy and impress the audience. There was a guy I never met before named Jake Habron up on stage. And, I was trying to get him to talk more because every time he said something, dude, it was like brilliant. And I'm like, you guys, like, I know Andy and Brad and them. I've heard them talk. The internet's full of them talking. I never heard this guy talk anymore. I kept trying to hand him the microphone. Like, hey, say something else, bro. You're like, I'm learning from you for I can learn from Brad from watching his Instagram reels and Andy from his YouTube videos. Like, I don't see that shit from you. You need to keep talking, bro. You know what I mean? Whereas the typical person on stage is like, look at me, listen to me, pay attention to me. I'm even trying to learn when I'm supposed to be in that position. And that's just how it is, man. Because I know I don't know. I'm just like you said, man. I know I don't have all the answers. If I did, I wouldn't have been in all the fuck situations I've been in my lifetime.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate that, bro.
I appreciate it in the face, and I'm like, I don't want that again. Okay, I learned.
I appreciate that, man. And I don't know. I don't know if everybody else sees it, but I definitely see it, man. I definitely see that head down and you going through the fucking wars and that shit, man. And I never really ever stopped you at the events, man. You know what I mean? But I went up in your DM one time and I sent you a message. I was like, yo, bro, like a couple of things that you put out there, fucking personal shit. I've gone through some very similar fucking battles, man. And I just was like, man, you know, I'm just saying, I see what's going on, man. And I'm sure you get those messages a lot, but fucking, you got a lot of supporters out there because I think you are the genuine article. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and I appreciate your valuable time for coming on the show and sharing some wisdom and sharing your fucking story, man. And I fucking hope we get some listeners that come join Apex, because I think it's a great network. I think it's super valuable. I made a couple connections in there that I still talk to on the regular that are my kind of people. And if you need some fucking, I know a lot of you guys are just getting started, and it's hard when you don't have all of the receipts, and especially at this lending environment. So I'm not even, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to let Ryan Hart pitch you. I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. How can people get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you on Closer Capital, Apex, tax services, buying some cows, writing a book, whatever the fuck else it is you do? You probably sell Beanie Babies. Who the fuck knows, man?
And if you're wanting to apply for a loan, go to closercap.com, closercap.realsimple.com. There's an application right there. Fill it out. One of us will reach out to you. For more information on Apex, you can go to jointheapex.com. You can find me on Instagram, Hardcore Closer, Ryan Stewman on Facebook. Only trust sites with a blue check. The rest of them are scammers. That's just part of being in this world. You know, my only complaint about doing this podcast with you guys is like Greg talks too fucking much. You know what I mean?
Hey, listen, not for nothing, again, all transparency, we're both terrible about doing research on our guests. It's fun because it's like a fact finding, like exploratory kind of like learning. So he even called me up. He's like, man, I don't feel like I did enough research. And I'm like, I'll handle it, man. Poor Greg.
Yeah, no, I'm actually been sitting here thinking about like some business opportunities, because I have a reservation software for boat tour operators, and I get a lot of people asking about lending. And since we are in a blue collar industry, they don't have great credit. You know, they came from working on boats to owning boats, and a lot of the boats are used. And so they come into the situation where they don't have the capital to expand their fleet, and they're great operators. So I think there might be some business we'll be doing together, because awesome. I mean, they don't need $300,000-$400,000 loans. They need $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 loans to buy 5 skis and a couple boats. And that can make all the difference between them growing or not. So it'd be great that I could just kind of imagine like there's an opportunity right in the platform to apply for Closer Capital and grow their business. Like, this is a great opportunity. So I might be hitting you up talking about it.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it, man. I'd love to help anybody I can. So it's what I do it for.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, man. Well, again, thank you. And before we go, I got to plug our own shit. If you have not bought tickets to the Port, the annual water sport event, October 21st and 22nd, we just got a bump up from the hotel that we can fit a few more butts in seats. We were almost completely sold out. With that being said, we're only a few tickets away from being sold out. And those of you guys who love to wait to the last minute to buy your tickets for this event, keep in mind, if you wait till October 1st, October 2nd, you are going to be shit out of luck. So you can go to watersportpodcast.com. Conferences underneath that tab, click on that link, get your tickets. We are running out fast, and we hope to see you guys in St. Augustine, October 1st and 22nd. Thank you all for listening. This has by far been my favorite episode, even though I say that a lot about episodes, but this one's been near and dear to my heart. Ryan, thank you so much for your time. And as always, keep it awkward.